Good morning, dear students, and welcome back. As we have discussed, temperature, pressure, or both are responsible for interconversion of states of matter. There is a heat involved here. This heat is hidden heat. We call it latent heat. The heat energy which is to be supplied to change the state of a substance is called its latent heat. Latent heat does not raise the temperature, but it has always to be supplied to change the state of a substance. Why temperature does not rise? The latent heat which we supply is used up in overcoming the forces of attraction between the particles of a substance during the change of a state. It is of two types: latent heat of fusion, latent heat of vaporization. As we have discussed, the heat energy which is required to change the state of matter from solid to liquids is called latent heat of fusion, whereas the heat energy required to change the state of matter from liquid to gas is known latent heat of vaporization. The amount of heat energy required to change 1 kg of solid into liquid at atmospheric pressure at its melting point is called latent heat of fusion. Latent heat of fusion of ice is 3.34 into 10 to the power 5 joule per kilogram. The amount of heat energy required to change 1 kg of a liquid into its gaseous form at atmospheric pressure at its boiling point is called latent heat of vaporization. Latent heat of vaporization of water is 22.5 into 10 to the power 5 joule per kilogram. When we consider these changes, we also see that the change of a liquid into vapor at any temperature but below its boiling point also takes place, which is evaporation. Evaporation is a surface phenomenon. Particles from the surface gain enough energy to overcome the forces of attraction and changes to vapor state. There are few factors which affect the evaporation process. These include surface area, temperature, humidity, and wind speed. Increase in surface area increases the rate of evaporation. Increase in temperature increases the rate of evaporation. Increase in wind speed increases the rate of evaporation, but increase in humidity decreases the rate of evaporation. Evaporation causes cooling effect. When a liquid evaporates, the particles of the liquid absorb heat from the surroundings and evaporate. So the surroundings become cold. Like, for example, people sprinkle water on the roof or open ground because during evaporation, water absorbs heat, makes the hot surface cool. During summer, we wear more uh, white clothes and we sweat more because during evaporation, the sweat absorbs heat from our body, making the body cool. Wearing cotton clothes, basically if white, in summer keeps us cool because cotton absorbs sweat and the sweat evaporates. It absorbs heat from our body, making the body cool. The water coolant kept at home used in summer also works on the principle of evaporation. As these processes are involved with the three states of matter, we have plasma, which is considered as fourth state of matter despite solids, liquids, and gases. It is one of the fundamental states of matter, which is actually ionized gas consisting of positive ions and free electrons. Typically at low pressure and in the upper mode atmosphere and in fluorescent lamps being used. At very high temperature in stars and even in sun, plasma is present. Plasma should be called first state of matter because it is what all the states arise from. Plasma is created by adding energy to a gas so that some of its electron leave its atom. This is called ionization. Plasma is usually very hot because it takes very high temperature to break the bond between the electron and the nuclei of the atoms. On Earth, lightning makes plasma. Artificial uses of plasma include fluorescent light bulbs, neon signs, and plasma displays used for television or computer screens, as well as plasma lamps and globes, which are a popular children's toy and room decorations. Fifth state of matter, which is a new addition to the crew, is Bose-Einstein condensate. It all starts when the atoms starts to get cold, very cold. When the atoms get cold, they get closer and begin to clump up. When the atoms clump up, they become one big blob that all look the same as BEC, Bose-Einstein condensate. With this, we have covered all the topics, subtopics of lesson 1, and the key points can be as follows. Matter. Matter is anything which occupies space and has mass. Air, water, sugar, sand, hydrogen, oxygen, etc. Matter is made up of very tiny particles. Particles of matter have space between them and they attract each other. Classification, which includes the physical property of matter, is as solids, liquid, and gases. On the basis of chemical properties, matter is classified as elements, compounds, and mixtures, which we have to study in lesson 2. Solids have strong molecular force and definite shape, size. Solids can neither flow nor be compressed. Liquids have weak intermolecular force. These flow and have large molecular spaces. Liquids do not have a definite shape but fixed volume and are fluid. Gases have weak intermolecular flow, high compressibility, and no definite shape and volume. Physical properties of matter include matter is made up of particles which are very small in size. Everything around is made up of tiny particles. The particles of matter are constantly moving. The particles which make up matter are atoms or molecules. Interchange in states of matter is possible and it is by temperature, pressure, or both. The mixing of substance with one another due to motion or movement of particles is called diffusion. It is one of the properties of matter. The diffusion of one substance into another substance goes on until a uniform mixture is formed. Diffusion takes place in gases the most, liquids as well as in solids. Latent heat is the heat energy which has to be supplied to change the state of a substance. It does not increase the temperature of a substance, but has to be supplied in order to change the state of a substance by breaking the force of attraction between the particles. Sublimation is changing of a solid directly into vapors on heating, and reverse of it is desublimation. Evaporation is a process of conversion of liquid into vapors below its boiling point. Some particles in liquid always have more kinetic energy than the others. So when a liquid is well below its boiling point, some of its particles have energy sufficient to break the force of attraction between the particles and escape from the surface. Thus, evaporation occurs and it cools the surface. Effect of change of Pressure, the physical state of matter, can also be changed by increasing or decreasing pressure. Gases can be liquefied by applying pressure and lowering temperature. When high pressure is applied to a gas, it is compressed, and when in addition to it, we lower its temperature, it gets converted into liquid. So we easily can say that gases can be turned into liquids by compression and cooling. Plasma and Bose-Einstein condensate are additional states of matter which is only possible in laboratory. Temperature, which is the degree of hotness and coolness, can be measured in three different scales: Celsius scale, Fahrenheit scale, Kelvin scale. The two, that is degree Celsius and Kelvin scale, are important. Kelvin scale is the SI unit to measure the temperature of a substance. Thank you.